So you'll notice that this logo, this graphic brand right here at the top is 20 in 2020 home buying program. This is certainly part of my initiative to put 20 plus home buyers in homes this year for the year 2020. And I'm looking for home buyers really that do come from a background of leasing and that are just tired of that lifestyle and really want to start this decade off the right way with with buying. So again, I'm Tiffany Hayes. I'm a realtor at JP and Associates Realtors, and I am the author of Your Guide to Happy Home Buying, available on Amazon. I am also a certified Texas affordable housing specialist. But more than any of that, I'm just a wealth of information and a resource for you to use to help you buy your home, whether it's your first or second home, whether it's an investment property. I've worked with all types of buyers in the past, and this is what I do every day. And I just like helping people sincerely. So what you can expect over the next few minutes, we're just going to talk about why buying may be a better option for you. People choose to lease and they choose to buy for different reasons. So we're going to kind of dive into that and a good approach that you can use when trying to make that decision for yourself. Then we're going to go over the game plan to get out of leasing and start buying, because some people think it's so hard and they just don't start. They never get to the starting line. It's not really hard. You just need me to walk you through it all. Okay, and then I'll get to your questions at the end. So again, feel free to leave them in the chat. All right. If this is you, it's kind of a cute picture, and I thought it depicted so accurately so many of the clients that I've had in the past. The leasing lifestyle, it's like a ball and chain. You're connected to this home, but you're leasing the home. So it's not really yours, but you're stuck in this lifestyle. And what I hear over and over again is that I'm so tired of moving every few years. In fact, I just helped a client last year who literally moved every single year. Now that's a lot of moving, and they had a family, and I couldn't believe it. Every year. That's too much. The rents just keep going up and up and up because I do understand that landlords pay property taxes and their bills might go up a little bit, but they are certainly passing that on to you. So yeah, your rent is going to increase because they're trying to keep up with the market. And then waiting to get your sink fixed, waiting to get the wall repainted, waiting to get your carpet replaced, asking permission to do this or do that. I mean, at some point that just gets really, really old. And these are just the annoying things about leasing, not to mention the financial things that we're going to hit on in just a second. But yeah, it's not a good cycle to be stuck in year after year after year. So it's something that you should never be comfortable with. So this is just a quick snapshot on buy versus lease. Buying, on the left-hand side, you are building equity. That is probably one of the number one, or at least one of my top two reasons for why you want to buy a home, because you are literally building equity. And that's the difference between how much you actually owe on your mortgage payment and how much that home is really worth. And so as your home appreciates, it begins to be worth more and more and more, and you're building equity in that home. Building equity is kind of like a forced savings account, because as you pay down that principal, you're building more equity in that home. If you look on the right hand side, if you are leasing, once that rent is paid, the money is gone. You're not building anything. You're building the landlord's equity, but that's about it. Once that rent is paid, that money is gone. Then you look at tax deductions under the buy side. That's a good thing on your taxes. You actually get to deduct your property taxes and your mortgage interest every year. And so everybody understands what a tax deduction is. If you make $100,000 a year and you are able to deduct your property taxes and mortgage interest, say it was $5,000, I'm just throwing out a number, then instead of paying taxes on $100,000, you would pay taxes on $95,000, that $100,000 minus the $5,000 that you were able to deduct. So then you only owe taxes on $95,000. So that's a pretty cool thing to reduce your total tax liability. Now, under leasing, there is no tax deductions. Your landlord gets all of that benefit. If you make $100,000, you are paying taxes on $100,000, period. Look at property updates. You get to customize your home to your heart is content. So for all of my do-it-yourself type people who like to maybe want to try out a new accent wall or want to do some different landscaping around the home or just want to upgrade that master bath, you can do that when it's your home. But if you're leasing, you have to get permission from the landlord to do almost anything. So that's kind of a bummer. Predictable payments. You can lock in a fixed payment depending on the type of loan that you get. You can actually lock in a fixed payment, and that way you will know for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years, however long your term is for, you will know exactly how much you're going to be paying. And that's good. That's stability, right? Even if your payments go up a little bit due to an increase in property taxes or something like that, or homeowners insurance, you still have moderate control over that because you can fight against property taxes a little bit. You can change insurance companies, but what you set up with the bank stays the same. In a lease, your payments typically increase, and they're never going to go away. When you're buying a home, you know at the end of 20 years, at the end of 30 years, those payments are gone. Not so at the end of a lease. They just keep going and going and going, and you have nothing to show for it at the end of the day. Okay, also with buying, there is security and there is peace of mind. There is pride and ownership. The home belongs to you. You are the landlord, right? But in a lease, the landlord has a key, and so does anyone else they provide access to. I don't know about you, but I'm like this ultra security person, right? I don't want anyone else having a key to my home other than the people who live here, which is my family. That's my husband and our son, and he's too young to have a key. So, but if you're big on security like me, and knowing who has access to your property, buying a home certainly is the way to go. Now, I also want to throw this in here because sometimes people argue back that leasing is the best choice for them. And maybe it is for a certain season in your life. I'm just saying it's probably not the best decision if you're trying to make a lifestyle out of leasing. But it is a lifestyle decision versus economics. It's kind of a combination of both. So under lifestyle, yes, it's easier to relocate. If your job is moving you around or there's, you have certain circumstances in your life where you're going to need to be able to pick up and move quickly, then yes, leasing might be an easier option for you, depending on the type of contract that you have. And it's possibly less expensive if you're the type of person who wants to live close to downtown. I know certain people that come from other cities and they move from out of state. They like living right in the middle of downtown, right next to shops where they can just walk down out of their condo, out of their apartment, and walk out on the street and go next door to the convenience store, to a restaurant, whatever. It's kind of a lifestyle decision for them. And if that's you, that's okay, because it's still your decision. People have reasons for doing what they want to do. And so, yeah, if you buy a house close to downtown, that could be more expensive than leasing. Maybe, maybe not. Everything is to be considered. But it's tempting. Some of the people tell me, buying a home has really big upfront cost, really big upfront cost. And all that money, those thousands of dollars that I would use to buy my home, I could be using that towards another investment. And okay, just examining that logic, I wonder how many of those people are disciplined enough, if they start accumulating a pool of money, to not go splurge on a new car or on that dream vacation or just on something that they've always wanted to do. You have to be incredibly disciplined to do that. But that benefit only lasts so long, because if they did invest that money into a home, the home will create vast benefit in the years to come in the future. And we're going to take a look at that on the next slide. I do want to say that in the economics of it all, buying versus leasing, buying, especially in this Dallas economy, wins hands down, because it's the only way that you can truly use your home to build wealth, because everybody has to live somewhere. We all need a place to stay. And if you're going to be living somewhere, it may as well be making money for you. So let's take a look at that. I want to jump into doing the math just a little bit. We're not going to go crazy with doing the math because some people freak out when they hear math. So we're going to keep this simple. But I just took kind of a mid-range leasing price point. Say you are renting or leasing a place for $1,500 a month. And then I come along and tell you, hey, you know, you can get that $200,000 house over there. Again, just keeping our numbers nice and round and simple. Is it better to lease for $1,500 a month, or is it better to go ahead and buy that $200,000 house? Let's take a look at how this is handled over time. Let me say this real quick. The analogy that I'm giving you is for 10 years, because while some stats say people move every 5 to 7 years, more recent studies are showing that people are staying in their homes longer, 9 and 10 years. So I just took the number 10 years, and we're going to look at the math of renting for and leasing for 10 years at $1,500 a month versus just buying that $200,000 house, and where that leaves you in 10 years. So let's look at that. So if you look at this chart on the left, you see that this is a tax adjusted payment. So your payment on $200,000 a month would be a $200,000 home would be about $1,569.02. But this is not an accurate measurement because, again, remember I told you that you can deduct your mortgage interest, you can deduct the amount that you pay in taxes every year. So this payment is tax adjusted. So technically buying a $200,000 home is less expensive than renting a $1,500 a month apartment or leasing someone else's home, because your tax adjusted payment is lower. It's $1,392. You have a tax saving of approximately $177.17. So in this scenario, buying wins. If you just look at the money, the economics of it, you can actually buy a $200,000 home for less than you would be renting a $1,500 a month apartment. All right. Look over here. I told you that we're doing 10 years. There's actually a profit over 10 years. So let's say your cost to buy, you've been making payments for 10 years. And in 10 years, tax adjusted, you have paid out $73,578.79 over 10 years. In rent, you have paid $201,661.08. Look at where this marker defines. This is at the 10-year point. And you can see rent is in yellow. So if you look, and rent continues to increase. And I should say, let me preface this by saying that this accounts for 3.5% appreciation on that home every year. I can tell you in the last 3 years, the appreciation in Dallas on homes has been tremendous. We're talking like 31%. In the last year, homes have appreciated about 10%. So the appreciation eventually will level off, but right now it's just off the chain right now. But this, I was very conservative in this analogy. This takes into account 3.5% appreciation on your home. So over 10 years, you can kind of see how the trend is going with buying. You can see the trend with leasing. And after 30 years, you would have paid just under $800,000 in lease, but you would have realized more and more and more gains if you're buying a home. All right, let's look at equity, the difference between how much you owe and how much your home is worth after 10 years. So you would have a total equity of $130,000 and $130,106. Your down payment, let's say you paid, and this is on an FHA loan. Let's say you paid $7,000 in down payment on an FHA loan. Your home at 3.5% appreciation over 10 years appreciated $82,119. The principal, that's the amount that you were paying out, $40,986. So you paid this much into the home. it appreciated this much, and this was the money out of your pocket up front. All of that being said, you have equity of $130,106 in your home. If that doesn't speak for itself, I don't know what does, because that's your money that you can tap into through a home equity line of credit, or just home equity, cash out refinance, whatever. But that's your money that you can tap into. So if you are trying to put a kid through college, if you want to start your own business, whatever it is, whatever investment opportunity that you may have, you might want to go buy a rental property, whatever. That's your money that you can tap into. Whether a bank would approve you for a business loan or not, hey, you can afford it yourself because you have been building equity in your home. Again, if you are leasing, you have nothing to show for those 10 years. So owning a home is a priceless way to build wealth, and it is so easy because it forces you to save. That money that you put in doesn't go away because you can take it back out. It's like putting it in your piggy bank. You put it in and you can take it back out when you need it. And you can use it to further your financial goals. It's a beautiful thing. We all have to live somewhere anyway, so you may as well be putting money in something that you can take it back out of later and use it for what you want to do. So let's just say that at the end of 10 years, you want to sell your home. This is a quick snapshot of how much you stand to profit. Let's say you took appreciation into account. Again, over here, your home appreciated $82,000. So you bought it for $200,000. It appreciated $82,000. So you sold it for $282,119.75, right? Let's say you owe a balance of $152,000 on that home. You also owe prorated taxes for the year. Let's just say you sold it in March. You would owe prorated taxes, and then there's all of your closing costs, your fees, your real estate expenses, all of that, your closing costs. What you would net cash in pocket after 10 years, $108,620.09. That's if you chose to sell your home. But if you chose to keep your home, you have about $130,000 to work with. Either way, this is your money, whatever decision you make, to do with as you see fit. So, as you know, any of you who know me that are listening to me now, you know I'm all about building wealth. And I think owning a home is just such an easy and practical way that we can all build wealth. So, words to inspire. Wealth is a function of the trade-offs and decisions you make. Leasing might be comfortable right now for you. Maybe it is the best choice for you right now. Maybe not. You have your reasons. But it's not something that you necessarily want to make a lifestyle, because it's kind of like throwing money away when you could buy a home, build equity in your home, and use that for whatever financial wealth building plans you have in the future. So it's a trade-off. It's decisions that you have to make now to plan and invest in your future. I'm going to say this because you've heard it a million times. Social Security retirement funding is not guaranteed. So somehow, some way, you have to start making better decisions right now to support yourself in the future. And I think buying a home is one of the best decisions that you can make. So I've heard of so many different reasons why people want to stay in leasing. One of the ones that comes to my mind is there's a particular couple that I'm aware of that I had this conversation with, and they like their lifestyle. They like having discretionary income, and they're afraid that if they purchase a home, they would have to pay more every month and they wouldn't be able to afford their lifestyle. They enjoy splurging. They enjoy just living at a certain level. And so they are putting off buying a home indefinitely because they just don't want to do the work or put the work in that it would take to save money, to adjust their living standards, to do what they need to do. My advice to them is always, let's look at the numbers. Let's do some real comparison. Let's calculate what you're doing right now and how much you could get into a house for what you're doing right now. You may be surprised. So this is no excuse. So I like this picture because This lady knows she needs to work out, needs to get healthy, but she's putting it off. So she's watching other people all around her do it, the lady on the television, but she's not willing to do the work herself. Like as if watching this is going to suddenly make her get healthier, right? So you don't want to be like that when you're leasing. All right. So some of the other excuses I've heard is I'm still working on my credit. And those are people who just want to do things themselves. My advice is always to work with a mortgage professional. They can run a credit simulator. They can tell you exactly what you need to do, what they actually care about on your credit, because sometimes you're chasing a wild rabbit that doesn't need to be chased. Sometimes you're working on accounts that they could care less about. Sometimes you're doing more harm than good. Mortgage professionals look at your credit differently than a car salesperson would, than going out and buying furniture. It's just different. And so it's best if you let them look at it and tell you exactly what to do in order to fix your credit where you can purchase a home. Excuse number 2, I don't have enough money for a down payment, said the uninformed buyer. That's what you talk to your real estate professional, Tiffany Hayes, for. There are various down payment assistance programs for you. Some are free, some are income-based, some will adjust your interest rate a little bit, but that's what you do the math for. That's why we walk through the numbers, so you can make an educated decision to make a better, smarter home choice for you. But not having enough money for a down payment is really not an excuse to me, because I've had people get refunds at the closing table. I've moved people into homes for $600 out of their pocket. You know, there are people that I've helped that have less than $1,000 saved up, and they're getting into their homes and they're living there, spending joyful holidays in their home now, and they barely had to bring anything at all to the closing table. So not having enough for a down payment is also an excuse. Excuse number 3, I don't want to give up my lifestyle to save money, like the couple that I just told you about. You know, and I say that that person is just a little bit undisciplined, if that is your reason. And, you know, you live that lifestyle now, but later down the road, as things happen, because life happens to all of us, and as the years progress, something tells me that you're going to want a nest egg saved up to fall back on. Something tells me that owning a home and having that security and that stability of that fixed payment, having a home that nobody can take away from you, is probably going to be a better decision than trying to splurge and live a certain lifestyle right now. Again, it's about just making a smarter decision. Once you buy a home, it doesn't mean that you have to live in that home forever. You can move, you can switch homes, right? But at least when you move, you can have a little bit of money in your pocket to help you towards your next purchase. You can always upgrade. You can always make a smart decision for right now. And when your situation changes, make the best decision at that time. But don't use this as an excuse not to move forward with a purchase. So I want to say you can absolutely do this. Again, I help people every day with their own unique individual situations buy a home. So I'll tell you the generic game plan that I use for most buyers. Again, everyone's situation is different, but if you want to know just how to get started, what does the process look like, I'm going to give you this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-point plan, right? To stop leasing and start buying. Here's the game plan. The first thing you need to do is a personal financial assessment. Now, if you're a single person, that's easy because you just talk to yourself, right? But if there is another person involved in your decision-making process, bring all the decision makers together and do a personal financial assessment. And what do I mean by this? You need to dig deep and figure out what that number is that you are willing to spend every month on a mortgage. And you need to be very realistic. Some people say, well, I don't want to spend any more than $1,500. And then I take them home shopping. They fall in love with a house that's $1,800. And suddenly they can afford an $1,800 a month mortgage. I want you to be realistic. If you find the perfect house that you really want to move forward on, What are you willing to pay for that, and what is comfortable for your financial situation? So you need to know this even before you start talking with the lender. Why is that so important? Because a lender is going to approve you for a certain amount. That amount could possibly be higher than what you want to pay. I've had people get approved for $2,500 a month, but their budget says, I don't want to spend more than $1,800 a month. But I've had people, just because the lender said $2,500 a month, they shoot out there and they want to buy a $2,500 a month home, and then they struggle. That's not the smart way to do things. You need to know and be honest with your own financial situation first. So again, do a personal financial assessment and be honest with yourself. Have that difficult conversation. Then number two, then you talk to a lender. I have several lenders that I work with that are very good, that I trust. I am happy to recommend you to a lender. You want to complete a mortgage application with them. They're going to find out your debt to income ratio. They're going to look at the loan to value, how much you're planning to put down versus how much of loan you want to take out. They're going to look at your credit. You want the guidance of a mortgage professional during this time, because if they say, hey, I'm approving you for a certain amount and you think you can do better, then you ask them specifically, what can I do to reduce my debt to income ratio so that I can qualify for more or qualify for a lower interest rate? What action items can I take on my credit? There's a ton of questions that I have a handout for of how to talk to your lender. But it's worth being educated and knowing what questions to ask, because that could improve the type of loan you get and how much house you can afford. But you won't know any of this until you complete your mortgage application. Step number 3 is to get a loan estimate. So once you complete your mortgage application, once you complete that application, you ask the lender, hey, give me a loan estimate. So if you want to buy a $300,000 home, you might ask for a loan estimate at $300,000, at $325,000, maybe at $275,000. But that's going to tell you how much, it's going to say the purchase price of $300,000. This is how much your actual loan is that you're going to be taking out. This is your interest rate. This is going to be your monthly payment. This is how much cash you need to bring to the closing table. And if you're getting down payment assistance, this is how your down payment assistance factors into all of this. But you want to get a loan estimate for varying price points. And that I hate to use the term require, but I almost require every buyer to have a loan estimate in hand. And let's talk through this before we start shopping, because what you don't want to do is jump out there and say, well, I want to buy a $300,000 house. And you go out there and you fall in love. Because I've had this happen before. I'm not just talking. These are real stories. You fall in love, and then the lender tells you, no, I can't approve you for that because of this reason. And then you're heartbroken and no other house compares to that, and you drop out of the race altogether. You know, so it's best to have your information before you go home shopping and have a pre-approval letter from the lender so that you can move quickly once you do find what you want. Once you get a loan estimate, we can shop intelligently. We can place an offer on a home intelligently, because sometimes it's a numbers game, and that's something that me as your realtor would kind of negotiate. It helps me so much with the negotiation to have that loan estimate in hand, because I know what you can do and what you can't do and how to play with the numbers when offering on a home. Number 4, go house hunting. And that's a whole nother webinar in and of itself. But this is the fun part. And I can honestly say this is probably one of the top reasons that I'm in real estate and I love working with buyers. I show so many houses and I never ever get tired of looking at houses. People say, I don't want to bother you. I know you showed me 5 houses yesterday. And I'm like, okay, let's go. This is important to you. But really, I just want to go out and look at some more homes. I love looking at home shopping. I think it was something from when I was growing up. My mother took us out most Sundays looking at homes because my mom wanted a new home so bad. And so we would just go and we would look on Sundays, our whole family. And I'm very happy to say that a couple of years ago, I was able to help my mom and dad purchase their new home. So my mom and dad finally got that new home they've always wanted. And I was happy to be a part of that all those years later. And number 5, purchase your home. That's the happy day. And that's what you want to get to. You know, it was so rewarding for me last year to have so many home buyers spend their first Christmas in their home. I remember one particular home buyer, every house that we looked at, she would always say, I need to know where I'm going to put the Christmas tree. Oh, I'll put the Christmas tree over here. And that made me feel so good, because after she bought her home, a little while later over the holidays, she sent me a text message of her Christmas tree that she put up. And it was a grand Christmas tree. It was like 7.5 feet tall, immaculately decorated, because her family was spending their first year, their first Christmas in their home. And that is so rewarding. So you can absolutely do this. That family I just mentioned didn't start off perfect. They had credit concerns, and we worked through all of that. They didn't have to put a lot of money down at all, and they're in a beautiful home as we speak right now. Very happy. So the game plan that we just went over, I've created an infographic that you can see on your screen, your leasing to buying game plan, and I'm happy to offer it as a free download, because I want you to print it out and put it on your bathroom mirror, or put it on your refrigerator, or put it next to your vision board. And I want you to check off each step as you complete a phase. And I'd love to walk you through each of those phases. But it's a free download that I will make available after this video. I will put a link in the description box, or you can reach out to me directly for it. But I will put the link in the description box within an hour after this live stream. So let's talk. Let's answer whatever questions you have. I'll probably throw in a few commonly asked questions. And, you know, as I'm wrapping up, let me just finish this last slide. This is the way that you can contact me. So if I don't get to your question, my number is 972-591-1137. You can always reach out to me at tiffanyhayesrealestategroup.com. There is Facebook Messenger that we can chat on. I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, I'm everywhere. So you can get in touch with me. We can always talk, because I do realize everyone's situation is different, and I would love to just talk with you informally and answer whatever questions you may have. So right now, let's see. Let me talk to you very quickly about some of the common concerns I have. People who don't have perfect credit, their credit may be in the 500s or something like that, and they think that they're 2 years out from buying a home. That's not true. In fact, I'm going to put you on full screen so you can see my face talking to you. Hi again, I'm back. So let me say that if you want to get down payment assistance, it is best for you to have at least a credit score of 620. Because at 620, most down payment assistance programs will jump you right in. The better your credit score, 640, 680, 700. You know, if you can get over 700, that's really good, okay? Over 800 is best, right? But start out bare minimum at 620, especially if you're going to get down payment assistance and you want to have a reasonable interest rate. Shoot for that. Now, if your score is in the 500s, I've had people have credit scores in the 500s, and in 2 months they're in their own home. How did that happen? You know, it all starts with speaking to that mortgage professional again, allowing them to run a credit simulator. It might be as simple as you sending a letter of deletion. It might be as simple as you not completely paying off an account and closing it. No, maybe you just need to pay it down within a certain range. Maybe knock it down by 30% and pay it down within a certain range. And that will adjust your score just enough to get qualified for the type of loan that you want to qualify for. But it's all about getting guidance. I'm very leery of people who want to do it themselves, because Having a consultation with a mortgage professional is free. That credit simulator is free. And I would much rather you have a strategic game plan to work on your credit for free than do it yourself and take another year when that was unnecessary. Why do I keep bringing that up? Now really is a good time to buy your home. When I tell you that interest rates are low, they're low. People are getting quotes in the between 3 and 4% for interest rates. That's really, really good. I just recently refinanced my home and I was in the 4%, right? Transparently speaking, I had a lower credit score, and I even had my own credit run and spoke with the mortgage professional. The same thing that I'm advocating for you to do. My credit went from very low to a pretty darn good credit score in a matter of about 3 weeks. It was done. And I've had that happen to several of my clients that moved into homes last year. It doesn't have to take a long time. For other people, it may take a few months, but it's better for you to have the information, to have a strategic plan, and to actually get it done. So credit is a correctable thing, and it's better for you to start now than to wait till later. How much money do you need to have saved up in order to purchase a home? I was just having this conversation with someone that I'm working with. I would advise that you try to have minimum $2,000 to $2,500 saved up. Why do I say that? Because as soon as you find the right home and you go under contract, in the first couple of days of going under contract, you're going to have to pay earnest money. Earnest money is typically 1% of the purchase price. So if it's a $200,000 home, then you might want to put up $2,000 in earnest money, but that's negotiable. Depending on the situation and the competition, you'll just work with me on that. I'll talk to you about earnest money, but you want to have earnest money saved up. I typically do $1,500, just depending on the home and what it is, how much the home is. You have option money, that's about $100. Again, that's negotiable. And then you need to pay for an inspection, especially if it's an existing home. You want to pay for an inspection, which depends on the square footage of the property, but you want to budget about $500 for the inspection. So between the earnest money, your option money, and the inspection, you can expect all of that money out of pocket within the first 2 or 3 days of going under contract, and you need to have that ready to go. So I say between $2,000 to $2,500 saved up. At that point, you really don't have to spend, well, you would have to pay for the appraisal a little bit later down the road, and then the rest of it you will bring to closing. And there are down payment assistance programs that can help you with the closing costs. Those are things that I can talk to you a little bit later about or do a separate video on. What are some of my other commonly asked questions? How long does it take to find a home? I had a pretty good track record a while ago of finding homes within 2 weeks. Some people 2 months. But there's homes out there. Our inventory in Dallas is slim. There's between 2 to 3 months worth of inventory in Dallas. And in certain price points, it can get competitive. But if you think that you are ready to go pretty soon, pretty quickly, I would advise that you jump now. Why is that? Number one, interest rates are really low. The lower your interest rate, the more house you can get for your buck, more bang for your buck. So jump in while there's lower interest rates, and then jump in before home buying season really kicks in. You know, we're getting ready to go into spring break pretty soon as it gets closer to the summer, and definitely during summertime. Everybody is descending all at once, going to gobble up homes while their kids are out of school, and so that they can finish out the school year in one school district and start fresh in another if they have to switch schools. So my advice, if you have between $2,000 and $2,500 saved up, if you are willing to break a lease, if you're in a lease right now, or you're doing month to month or something, but if it's something that you think you want to do right now, I say go for it. Call me up. Let's talk through your specific situation. Let's get you approved and just go for it, because now really is a great time to buy a home. So that's all I have for you right now. If you have any other questions, again, please feel free to reach out to me. I want to honor our lunch commitment. Yes, we've gone over 30 minutes, but if you have an hour break for lunch, we're doing fine. So call me, text me, email me. I'm here to answer whatever questions you have. No obligation. If you want to meet for lunch face to face, I'm happy to do that as well. Other than that, thank you for joining in. Thank you for spending time with me, and I will see you on the other side.